Have you ever stood in your kitchen, staring at your shelf full of pills, wondering if there's another way to feel better? You're not alone. If you've been dealing with arthritis, the stiffness, the swelling, that quiet ache that makes the simplest tasks feel monumental, then you've probably also been told to just manage it, to live with it. But what if relief didn't have to come from a pill bottle? What if it could start on your plate? You see, arthritis doesn't just wear down your joints, it wears you down. It seeps into your energy, your mood, your mornings. That stiffness when you get out of bed, that deep ache when you're just trying to open a jar or climb a flight of stairs. It's not just physical, it's emotional. And when you're constantly in pain, it's easy to feel like your body is working against you. But here's the part no one talks about. You have more power than you think. One of the most overlooked tools for easing arthritis pain is food, and I'm not talking about expensive superfoods or some exotic powder from halfway around the world. I'm talking about simple, everyday ingredients that are probably already in your pantry, foods that can help reduce inflammation, support your joints, and give you back a sense of control. Today, let's talk about one of the most powerful, humble little foods out there, lentils. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Lentils? Really? They're not exactly glamorous. They don't show up on glossy Instagram feeds or in trendy cafes, but when it comes to natural joint support, they're absolute rock stars. Lentils are loaded with protein, the kind that helps your body rebuild and repair. That's huge for arthritis, because the muscles that surround and support your joints need that nourishment to stay strong and take some of the pressure off those aching bones. But what makes lentils different from, say, red meat, is that they don't come with a side of inflammation. In fact, they do the opposite. They help calm your system. They work with your body, not against it. And then there's magnesium. This one's a game changer. Most of us don't get enough of it, especially as we get older. But magnesium is like nature's muscle relaxant. It eases that joint tightness, helps your body release tension, and even soothes nerve pain in some cases. If you've ever woken up feeling like your joints are locked in place no matter how much you stretch, low magnesium could be a silent culprit. Let's not forget potassium. It may not get the spotlight, but when you're eating processed foods or too much salt, it's potassium that helps your body flush out that excess and reduce swelling. You know that puffy, tight feeling in your hands or knees? That could be your body holding on to more sodium than it should. Lentils help bring that back into balance. Less swelling, less pain. But here's the part that really surprised me. Fiber. Yep, the stuff we usually talk about for digestion is actually key for managing inflammation too. When your blood sugar spikes, your body goes into overdrive producing inflammatory chemicals. That leads to more pain and stiffness. Fiber keeps those levels steady, helping you feel more balanced and reducing those painful flare-ups. Lentils are also rich in folate, vitamin B9, which helps lower levels of homocysteine, a compound linked to joint pain and inflammation. It's a small shift with a big ripple effect. You're not just eating for energy, you're eating for healing. Now here's something to think about. How often do we overlook the simplest foods just because they aren't flashy? Lentils are affordable, easy to find, and even easier to cook. You don't need to soak them overnight. Just rinse, boil, and you're good to go in 20 to 30 minutes. And they're gentle on your stomach. No bloating, no discomfort. You can throw them into a stew, make a quick curry, toss them in a salad with some olive oil and fresh veggies, or even mash them into a wrap or veggie burger. Add a little lemon juice, turmeric, or black pepper, and suddenly you've got not just a meal, but a healing ritual. Hey, quick check-in. Are you finding this helpful so far? Drop a comment and let me know if arthritis has been part of your story. I'd really love to hear from you. And if you're into this kind of practical, feel-good wellness talk, I'd be so grateful if you could gently tap that subscribe button. It helps me keep creating content that supports you, right where you are, because the truth is, healing doesn't always come in a bottle. Sometimes it comes in a warm bowl of lentils. Simple, unassuming, and surprisingly powerful. Let's keep going, because if lentils open the door to relief, what comes next might just take it a step further. This one's not flashy either, but it's incredibly effective. Chickpeas. You've probably had them in hummus or tossed into a salad, but these little beige beans are far more than a trendy topping. They're one of the most underappreciated allies in the fight against arthritis, and once you see what they can do, you may never look at them the same way again. First off, Chickpeas are another wonderful source of plant-based protein, and when it comes to arthritis, that matters. Every step you take, every jar you open, every movement, your joints rely on the support of strong, well-nourished muscles. That's where this protein steps in. It helps maintain and rebuild the muscle mass that surrounds your joints, giving them the backup they need. But unlike red meat, which can introduce inflammatory compounds into your system, chickpeas offer that support in a clean, plant-powered way. No added inflammation, just nourishment. But the real magic of chickpeas goes beyond protein. It lies in something called polyphenols. I know, it sounds a little sciencey, but stay with me. Polyphenols are natural compounds that act like antioxidants in your body, and antioxidants are your body's personal cleanup crew. They fight off the unstable molecules, free radicals, that cause inflammation and cellular damage over time. If you're living with arthritis, your body's already carrying the weight of that constant inflammation. Chickpeas, with their polyphenol content, help lighten that load. And then there's vitamin C. It's not just for colds or immune support, it's crucial for building collagen, the soft tissue that cushions your joints and lets them move smoothly. Without enough collagen, you lose that buffer, and bone starts to grind against bone. Painful. But when you give your body the vitamin C it needs, especially from whole food sources like chickpeas, you're not just easing symptoms, you're rebuilding from within. Magnesium makes another appearance here too. Just like with lentils, it works quietly but powerfully to relax your muscles, ease tension, and help your nervous system take a breath. That tension you feel after a long day, that tightness that doesn't quite go away? Magnesium helps soothe it, and when your muscles are relaxed, your joints don't have to bear the brunt of every movement. Plus, let's not overlook the importance of sleep. Magnesium can support more restful nights, which is huge when you're dealing with chronic pain. Because when you're rested, everything feels just a little more manageable. Of course, fiber is doing its good work here as well. High-fiber foods like chickpeas help regulate your blood sugar, and as we talked about with lentils, that matters more than most people realize. Spikes in blood sugar lead to spikes in inflammation. Stable levels mean less flare-up, less pain, and more consistent energy throughout your day. Now, here's where things get fun. Chickpeas are incredibly versatile. Yes, there's hummus, and yes, it's delicious. Creamy, rich, satisfying. But you don't have to stop there. Try roasting chickpeas with a bit of olive oil, sea salt, and your favorite spices. They become crunchy, savory little bites you can snack on anytime. Toss them into a stir-fry with bright veggies and a pinch of turmeric. Add them to soups or stews. Make a curry. Blend them into dips. Or, if you're feeling creative, bake with chickpea flour. You can even sneak them into brownies or pancakes. And because chickpeas are so filling, they help you stay satisfied longer, which is a quiet win for weight management, a key piece of the arthritis puzzle. What I love most, though, is how accessible they are. No specialty stores, no sky-high prices. You can find them canned or dried in just about any grocery store. If you go the canned route, just give them a good rinse to remove the extra sodium. If you've got a little more time, cooking them from dried can stretch your budget even further. Curious how often you should be eating them? Start with a couple of times a week. If your body responds well, and for most people it does, chickpeas could easily become a daily staple. Your joints will appreciate the steady stream of support. Your digestion will benefit from the fiber. And your energy might just feel a little more stable, a little more yours. Because here's the thing, arthritis can feel like a thief. It sneaks in, slowly steals your comfort, your ease, your joy in simple things. But foods like chickpeas, they're quiet acts of resistance. Every bite says, "Not today." Every meal becomes a moment of reclaiming your health, your strength, your agency. So the next time you walk down the grocery store aisle, pass by the flashy labels and look for that humble can or bag of chickpeas. It may not look like much, but inside those little beans is something powerful, something healing. There's one more quiet hero waiting to be invited into your kitchen and into your healing journey, and it's one that might surprise you. Tofu. Yes, tofu. I know for some people it brings up mixed feelings. Maybe you've tried it once and weren't sure what to do with it. Maybe you've heard it's bland or tricky to prepare, but give me just a moment, and you might start seeing it in a whole new light. Tofu is one of the most powerful, accessible foods you can add to your diet if you're living with arthritis. It's made from soybeans, which means it's a complete protein. That's something pretty rare in the plant world. Complete proteins contain all 9 essential amino acids your body needs to rebuild and repair tissues, muscles, tendons, even the very joints that ache and protest with each step. And when you think about the daily wear and tear arthritis brings, you realize how crucial that full spectrum of support really is. But protein is just the beginning. Tofu also brings a gift that many people don't even realize they're missing: omega-3 fatty acids. These aren't just good for your heart, they're one of your body's strongest natural defenses against inflammation. Omega-3s help quiet the body's inflammatory responses, meaning less swelling, less stiffness, and less pain. And while many think they have to eat fish to get those benefits, tofu stands quietly in the corner, offering those same precious fats without the fishy flavor or the need for seafood at all. And then there's calcium. If you've been told your arthritis is partly due to osteoarthritis or weakening bones, you already know how important calcium is. But dairy isn't the only answer. In fact, dairy can sometimes cause inflammation for certain people. Tofu, especially calcium-set tofu, offers a powerful, clean, plant-based source of bone-building strength. It's like laying a stronger foundation brick by brick. When your bones are stable and strong, your joints don't have to work quite so hard. That means less pressure, less grinding, and fewer painful days. What makes it even better is that many tofu products are fortified with vitamin D, another unsung hero. Vitamin D works hand in hand with calcium to build and protect your bones, but it does even more. It supports your immune system and helps regulate inflammation throughout your body. The sad truth is that many of us are low in vitamin D without even realizing it, especially as we age. Bringing more of it into your diet with foods like tofu is a gentle, natural way to support yourself. Still, the beauty of tofu isn't just hidden in its nutrients, it's also about its flexibility. Tofu doesn't force its flavor on you. Instead, it acts like a sponge, soaking up whatever delicious marinades, spices, or sauces you give it. Ginger, garlic, soy sauce, lemon, turmeric, chili, herbs, whatever flavors comfort you or excite you, tofu will carry them straight to your plate. You can pan-sear it, bake it, stir-fry it, or even broil it for a crispy, satisfying texture. It can be bold, savory, spicy, or even sweet. There's no right or wrong here, only what makes your body and your spirit feel nourished. If you've never cooked with tofu before, here's a simple trick to make it even better. Take firm or extra firm tofu, press out the extra water, and let it marinate for a little while before cooking. That helps it absorb all the flavors and creates a deeper, richer taste that even tofu skeptics can fall in love with. There's also silken tofu, smooth, delicate, and creamy, which can be blended into soups, smoothies, sauces, or even desserts without anyone ever knowing it's there. Imagine giving your body all that protein, all that joint support, without even tasting it. It's a quiet act of self-care that weaves healing right into the fabric of your day. And here's another thing to appreciate. Tofu is practical. It's budget-friendly, widely available, and keeps well, making it a smart, low-stress option to always have on hand. In a world that sometimes feels overwhelming and complicated, isn't it a relief to have something simple, affordable, and deeply nourishing within arm's reach? If you're wondering how often to include it, start gently. Maybe 2 or 3 times a week. Notice how your body feels. Tofu isn't a magic bullet, but it's a steady companion. It offers its gifts slowly, consistently, quietly, just like healing often does. Because arthritis can sometimes make you feel like you're at war with your own body, like every movement is a battle. But foods like tofu are small peace offerings. They're a way of telling your body, I'm listening, I'm giving you what you need. And over time, that kindness builds up. Your joints move a little easier. Your mornings feel a little lighter. Your spirit feels a little stronger. That's the true power of choosing healing foods. Not because you're chasing some perfect version of health, but because you're choosing to show up for yourself every single day. There's something powerful about taking small steps that make you feel better in your own skin. You may not notice it at first. One meal here, one ingredient there. But slowly, those choices begin to layer. And when you're living with arthritis, every small improvement counts. Because you know better than anyone, it's not just about surviving the day. It's about reclaiming little pieces of joy, the ease of moving without wincing, the comfort of sleeping without tossing, the relief of not having to sit down just to give your body a break. And while these changes might seem subtle at first, they start creating momentum, a shift in your energy, a lift in your mood. Because pain isn't just physical, it reaches into how you think, how you feel, how you connect with the world. That's why what you put into your body matters more than just calories or nutrients. It's communication, it's nourishment, it's a form of self-respect. As we continue this journey into plant-based proteins and their connection to arthritis relief, it's clear these foods aren't just fuel, they're allies. Allies that don't require prescriptions, don't come with side effects, and don't drain your wallet. Allies that meet you where you are and offer real support, one meal at a time. The beauty of foods like lentils, chickpeas, and tofu is how they work together. It's not about one magic food or one dramatic diet change. It's about consistency, about creating an environment in your body that's less reactive and more resilient. That means lowering inflammation, supporting muscle strength, easing joint strain, and helping your nervous system relax. All things that these foods, in their own way, help make possible. You might have noticed a pattern too. Magnesium, fiber, plant protein, anti-inflammatory compounds, these come up again and again. That's not by accident. These nutrients create a kind of synergy, a rhythm your body can depend on. When you begin including them regularly, your body starts to recognize a new baseline. Instead of reacting to sugar spikes or inflammatory triggers, it begins to stabilize, to find its way toward balance again. It doesn't mean every ache disappears. It doesn't mean every flare-up is gone, but it means your baseline gets better. You feel less like you're constantly bouncing between extremes, pain and relief, good days and bad. Things start to smooth out, and that alone can feel like a breath of fresh air. And let's not forget, these foods aren't hard to find. They aren't hidden away in obscure health stores or attached to intimidating price tags. They're waiting quietly in the aisles of your regular grocery store. Sometimes they're sitting on your shelf already, just waiting for a chance to be seen differently, to be chosen. One of the most empowering things about healing with food is that it brings the process into your hands. You get to decide how you support your body. You get to explore what feels good. You get to build routines that don't just revolve around medications or limitations, but around care, comfort, and nourishment. And yes, there will be trial and error. You'll experiment with recipes. Some will be keepers, others not so much. But every attempt is still part of that healing path. There's no rush, no pressure, just a quiet invitation to make your next meal something that works with your body instead of against it. So maybe tonight it's a lentil stew, simmered with garlic, turmeric, and a squeeze of lemon. Maybe tomorrow it's a grain bowl topped with crispy tofu, roasted chickpeas, and some bright leafy greens. Maybe it's just a snack, a spoonful of hummus on a slice of cucumber when you're hungry and want something easy. Whatever it is, let it be simple, let it be intentional, let it be yours. Because when you're living with arthritis, you know how easy it is to feel powerless. But each time you choose a food that brings healing instead of harm, you're taking some of that power back. You're becoming an active participant in your own relief. And that's something no diagnosis can take away from you. There's a quiet confidence that starts to build when you begin doing things that truly support your body. You may not notice it at first, but over time, those swollen joints feel a little less angry. You don't wince as much when you stand. Maybe you realize halfway through the day that you haven't been thinking about your pain quite so much. That's not a small thing. That's your body responding to the care it's been waiting for. This is where food becomes more than just something you eat. It becomes a relationship, a connection, a way to listen to your body and finally answer with kindness. Because when you've been living with arthritis, you've likely had to silence that voice. You've had to push through the discomfort, ignore the stiffness, make it through the day with a tight smile and a heavy sigh. But when you start feeding your body in a way that reduces pain, that voice, the one that says, "I'm tired, I hurt, I need something different," gets to be heard. You don't need perfection. You don't need to become a nutritionist overnight. All you need is a little curiosity, a little patience, and a few key ingredients. Ingredients like lentils, chickpeas, and tofu. Foods that were never meant to be trendy or flashy, but healing in the most grounded, generous way. Each of these has its own strengths. Lentils with their protein, magnesium, potassium, and fiber. Chickpeas with their polyphenols, vitamin C, and slow-digesting carbs that steady your system. Tofu with its complete amino acids, omega-3s, calcium, and bone-loving vitamin D. These aren't isolated benefits, they're layered. They overlap and amplify one another. And when you bring them together, you're giving your body exactly what it's been asking for. Anti-inflammatory support, muscle strength, bone protection, steady energy, and less stress on your already overworked joints. But beyond all the science and nutrients, there's also the emotional side, the part that doesn't get talked about enough. Because arthritis isn't just a physical diagnosis, it affects your entire sense of self. It makes you second-guess plans. It puts you on the sidelines. It slows you down when your heart is ready to move faster. That emotional weight builds up, and some days it feels heavier than the pain itself. This is why food matters so much, because when you start making choices that nurture you, it doesn't just change your inflammation markers, it shifts how you feel inside. It helps restore some of the control that arthritis tries to take. Each meal becomes a gentle declaration. I still have a say in how I live. I still get to choose how I care for myself. And there's something deeply satisfying about realizing that relief doesn't have to come in the form of something extreme. It doesn't require a new identity or a strict program. It can come from adding chickpeas to your lunch, from choosing tofu instead of processed meat, from stirring turmeric into a warm pot of lentils. These tiny decisions stack up until one day you realize, this feels better. I feel better. Of course, some days will still be hard. Pain doesn't always follow the rules. There will be setbacks. But when you've built a foundation on healing foods, your body is more equipped to handle them. You recover faster. You feel steadier. You don't spiral as easily. That kind of resilience isn't just physical. It's mental, emotional, even spiritual. And it starts with something as simple as what's on your plate. So if you're watching this and feeling overwhelmed, start small. You don't need to overhaul your kitchen in a day. Maybe you pick up one new ingredient on your next grocery run. Maybe you try one new recipe this week. Maybe you just start paying attention to how certain meals make you feel. That's more than enough. That's how all big change begins, with the smallest intention, repeated with love. There's a certain strength in slowing down, especially when everything around you is telling you to hurry up, push through, keep going. But arthritis has a way of forcing stillness, of pausing your pace. And at first, that can feel frustrating, like you're falling behind, like your body's betrayed you. But within that pause, something else becomes possible. You start to listen more closely. You begin to feel what your body's been trying to tell you all along. That's where healing begins. Not in rushing to fix everything, but in gently creating space for change. And food? It's one of the kindest, most personal ways to do that, because you touch it, you choose it, you prepare it. It's a sensory experience that reminds you still have agency, you still have care to give yourself. And even on the days when pain makes everything feel heavy, nourishment becomes an act of self-respect. By now, you've seen how lentils, chickpeas, and tofu, three of the simplest foods, can carry profound power, not just in their nutrients, but in how they fit into your life. No extreme diets. No trendy detoxes, just practical, grounding meals that actually help you feel better. And here's something beautiful. As you begin to feel more supported physically, your mindset starts to shift. You become more hopeful, more open. The fog of constant discomfort begins to clear. Maybe you smile more. Maybe you move more. Maybe you just feel a little lighter in your chest, that weight of frustration slowly lifting. What you're really doing is creating alignment. When your food supports your joints support your movement. When you move better, you feel more independent. That independence brings confidence, and that confidence builds momentum. Suddenly, you're not just coping, you're reclaiming. It's the difference between existing and truly living. And while that may sound dramatic, anyone who's lived with chronic pain understands exactly what that means. You don't take freedom for granted when it's been taken from you before. Even preparing your meals becomes something sacred. Stirring a pot of lentils while music plays softly in the background. Roasting chickpeas with your favorite blend of spices. Pressing tofu and watching it soak up flavor like it's coming alive. These aren't just steps in a recipe. They're small rituals. little reminders that you're nurturing yourself on every level. And what's more, these foods are forgiving. They don't demand perfection. They invite you to experiment, to explore, to find what works for you. You don't need a culinary degree to whip up a healing meal. You just need a bit of curiosity, a splash of patience, and maybe a favorite pan that feels like an old friend. The more you do this, the more second nature it becomes. Before you know it, you're reaching for lentils when you want something warm and grounding. You're tossing chickpeas into a wrap because you know they'll keep you satisfied. You're pan-searing tofu on a busy night because it's quick, comforting, and just makes you feel good. Not because you have to, but because you want to. Because you know what your body needs, and you're finally giving it. And here's the gentle truth. You deserve that. You deserve to feel better. Not because you followed a perfect plan, but because you honored your needs. Because you chose presence over pressure. Because you finally stopped punishing your body and started partnering with it. This isn't a miracle cure. It's not overnight. But it is powerful. It is possible. And it starts with a handful of humble ingredients, a few quiet moments in the kitchen, and a decision to care for yourself in a deeper, more loving way. There's something incredibly hopeful about realizing your healing doesn't have to be dramatic to be real. It doesn't have to involve overnight transformations or strict regimens. It can be quiet, simple, built into your day like a favorite mug or a worn-in sweater, always there, always comforting. That's the beauty of food as medicine. It's personal, it's familiar, it's yours. And now you know, right there on your grocery list, right there on your pantry shelf, are 3 of the most powerful tools for easing joint pain and inflammation. Lentils, chickpeas, tofu, not miracle foods, not trendy supplements, just real, affordable, accessible ingredients that give your body what it's been craving. Steady support, gentle nourishment, and a path forward. You don't need to be perfect to start. You just need to begin. Maybe you've already tried one of the meals we talked about. Maybe you've started keeping chickpeas on hand or experimented with tofu for the first time. Maybe you're still just thinking about it, and that's okay too. What matters is the direction you're facing, and right now, you're facing toward healing. Even the smallest changes, swapping out one meal a week, trying a new recipe, or choosing fiber-rich foods instead of processed snacks, those choices add up. They may not seem like much on their own, but when they're layered with consistency and kindness, they begin to create something powerful. They begin to create momentum. And momentum is everything when you're managing a chronic condition. It turns the tide. It takes you from enduring to improving, from coping to participating, from watching life pass you by to stepping back into it, more energized, more grounded, more in tune with your own body. Because the truth is, you haven't been broken. You've been overwhelmed, exhausted, and probably unheard for a long time. But you're here now. And the way you're showing up for yourself, through food, through curiosity, through self-compassion, is nothing short of courageous. So the next time you stand in your kitchen, tired and aching, and wondering what to eat, remember this. The simplest meals are often the most healing. A bowl of warm lentils with greens and garlic. A creamy chickpea curry that fills your home with a cozy aroma. A tofu stir-fry that satisfies and soothes. These aren't just meals, they're medicine, right from your hands, into your heart, and throughout your entire body. And you don't have to do it alone. This space is here for you. This channel was created to be your companion on this journey. A place where real solutions live, where comfort meets clarity, and where wellness feels less like pressure and more like peace. So if you found value in these videos, if you've felt seen or understood, or even just a little more hopeful, I'd be truly honored if you gently subscribe to the channel. It helps us keep growing this community of people who are choosing to care for themselves in a kinder, more intentional way. And if you know someone else who could use a reminder that healing can begin at the dinner table, feel free to share this with them. Sometimes, all it takes is one video to change someone's mindset, one conversation to spark a new habit, one meal to start feeling a little more like themselves again. You are not alone in this. Your pain is real, but so is your power. And the more you nourish that power, through food, through rest, through grace, the more you'll see just how resilient you truly are. Thank you for being here. Thank you for giving yourself this time. I'm proud of you, and I hope you're proud of yourself too. Until next time, take care of those joints and take care of yourself.